It's Sunday night. You just got paid on Friday, you open your banking app, and something between confusion and dread settles in your chest because you cannot figure out where the money went. You didn't do anything crazy. You didn't go on a shopping spree. You just lived, and somehow it's already mostly gone. Here's what I want you to know. That feeling isn't proof that you're bad with money. It's proof that nobody ever taught you how money actually works, and that is a very fixable problem. You've probably opened your banking app, seen the number, and immediately put your phone face down. Not because you're irresponsible, because looking at it feels like evidence of something you can't quite name. You do the math in your head and it never adds up. You know roughly what you make. You don't think you're spending insane amounts. But at the end of the month, or sometimes the end of the week, the cushion is just gone. And you're left doing this little mental calculation. Okay, when does the next paycheck hit? What absolutely has to be paid before then? And what can I push? You've tried budgets, you've downloaded the apps, you've had the okay, we're really doing this moment probably more than once. And it works for a little while, and then life happens. Or you just get tired of tracking every $6 purchase, and the whole thing quietly collapses. And then comes the part. Nobody talks about the shame spiral. The voice in your head that says, maybe you're just not a numbers person. Maybe you're too impulsive. Maybe the people who have their finances together are just built differently. Here's what I need you to hear before we go any further. That voice is lying to you. The problem isn't your character. The problem is that nobody ever gave you an accurate picture of why money behaves the way it does, or what to actually do about it. Here's the villain in your story, and it is not you. The average American receives 0 hours of personal finance education before they're handed their first credit card, their first lease, their first paycheck with a 401k enrollment form they're expected to understand in 30 days. 0. We graduate people into a financial system with more moving parts than a car engine and then act surprised when they can't drive it. But it goes deeper than missing education. The products you interact with every day, your checking account, your credit card, your streaming subscriptions, are deliberately engineered to be invisible. Researchers call it friction reduction. The goal is to make spending feel effortless and saving feel like work. There's a reason your bank's overdraft fee revenue was over $7 billion last year. There's a reason subscription companies make canceling a 6-step process, but signing up is one click. You're not losing the game because you're bad at it. You're losing it because the scoreboard was designed by the other team. And here's the thing about a design problem. Design problems have design solutions. You're not trying to change your personality. You're not trying to become someone who loves spreadsheets. You're just learning to set up a system that works with human behavior, yours specifically, instead of against it. I want to be honest with you about where I'm talking from. I spent years doing the exact thing I just described, trying to out-discipline a system I didn't understand. And what finally changed things wasn't grinding harder or cutting everything I enjoyed. It was understanding the 3 places where the money was actually disappearing and building simple structures so it stopped. Since then, I've gone through this same process with friends, with family members, with people who DM'd me saying their situation was too far gone to fix. It's not. I've never met a situation that couldn't be stabilized once you had the right picture of what was actually happening. What I'm going to walk you through now is the same 3-step sequence I use every time. It takes about 30 days to fully install. It doesn't require a big income, a perfect track record, or any tools beyond what you already have. Here's the map. There's a specific sequence to this. Most people jump straight to the 3rd step, the automation piece, which is why their setup never quite holds. We're going to do this in order. Step 1, the audit. Days 1 through 7. Before you change anything, you need an honest picture of what's actually happening. Not an estimate, actual numbers. Go into your bank account and look at your last 30 days of transactions. Don't judge. Don't categorize. Just look. What you're hunting for are 3 things. Recurring charges you forgot about, the category where you're consistently spending more than you'd guess, and your actual average monthly outflow. Here's the part most people skip. They look at the number and immediately jump into problem-solving mode. Don't. Spend 48 hours just observing. The audit is diagnostic, not prescriptive. You can't build a real plan on an imaginary baseline. My friend Danielle did this step and found $194 a month in subscriptions she'd completely forgotten. 3 apps, a streaming service she'd rolled into a bundle, and a fitness membership from 2 cities ago. She hadn't even been thinking about subscriptions as a category. You often find your problem here. Step 2. Automate the essentials. Days 8 through 21. Once you know the actual numbers, you build the containers. The goal is to remove as many spending decisions as possible from your daily brain. Every bill that can be on autopay should be. Every savings transfer, even if it's $25, should trigger automatically on payday, before you see the money in your account. Savings that require a manual decision to make are savings that don't happen. Here's why most people skip this. They think they need a big emergency fund first, or a raise first, or to get out of debt first. The sequence is actually backwards. The automation creates the stability. The stability makes everything else possible. Set it up with what you have right now, even if the amounts are small. You're not automating an amount. You're automating a habit. Step 3. Anchor to one number. Days 22 through 30. This is the step that makes the system sustainable. Take your paycheck, subtract your bills and automatic savings, and what's left is your spending money for that pay period. One number. That's what you have. Not a category budget with 16 line items, one number that tells you whether you can say yes or no to any given purchase. You check that number twice a week. That's it. 2 check-ins. The rest runs on its own. I switched to this system on a month where I had serious debt and a genuinely tight income. Within 90 days, I had a real emergency fund for the first time in my adult life. Not because my income changed, but because I stopped making financial decisions blind. Picture what the next 12 months look like if you run this 30-day reset. You know your number. You stop dreading the banking app. You start using it like a tool instead of avoiding it like a bill collector. When something unexpected happens, a car repair, a medical bill, an opportunity, you have a buffer. Not a huge one at first, maybe, but something. And that something changes everything about how you move through the world. You stop making reactive financial decisions and start making intentional ones. The ceiling that's felt fixed for years starts to feel like a floor. And if you do nothing, if you close this video and wait until the next paycheck to think about it, the cycle continues. Same confusion, same Sunday night dread, same conversation with yourself in 3 years about why you still haven't gotten traction. The plan is here. The path is clear. The only question is whether you take the first step before the feeling of wanting to fades. Remember that moment I described at the start, opening your banking app on a Sunday night and feeling that confusion and dread settle in? That version of you doesn't have to be the permanent version. That's stage 1. That's what it feels like before you have the picture. You now have something that version of you didn't. A map, a sequence, a 30-day window that is completely doable regardless of where you're starting from. Open a new tab right now and pull up your last 30 days of transactions. That's the whole assignment for today. Just look. If this helped, subscribe. I put one of these out every week, and they genuinely build on each other. And if you want to go deeper on automating your savings, even on an irregular income, I've linked that video right here. Watch that one next.